Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me here today. My name is Vikram Maram. I lead product and growth at Smart. In my last 10 years at Smart, I worked with company data, contact data, and signals like technographic data, job change information. I've been seasoned here because of my 10 years of working with enterprise companies and dealing with the GTM challenges. I'm very excited about today and being here. I love to share my learnings and our research when it comes to bespoke signals and their impact on the GTM. Let's jump right in. So, before we get started, let's look at the agenda for today and what are the different aspects I'm going to cover in my session. So, I'd love to start with the basics and the definitions of what a signal is and what do I mean by bespoke signals when I say that. Yeah, there are a lot of definitions out there, so it's always good to set up ground and get started with a new conversation. And then I'm going to cover various types of signals and then how could we use them in the context of GTM. And no signals are perfect, no data is ever perfect, no AI is perfect too. So we're going to talk about some common signals and what are the constraints. So this is something that has come out of our research working with these signals and trying to build some automations around them that could be pretty valuable. And then finally, how I think about the need to go beyond scoring and the power of storytelling that signals has to offer now because of the Gen AI and the way in which we can reason with the signals opens up great possibilities about storytelling. And I'm very excited about that aspect of the signals. All right, let's jump in. Talking about the definitions and the basics, what is a signal? A signal is a let me say, a B2B buyer signal is a distant set of facts, actions, or data points that can reflect an interest or an inclination towards what you got to sell. And it's typically independent of any objective or not a specific objective that you might be interested in. That's the challenge with signals in general. Now, talking about what a bespoke signal is and what is the need of creating a bespoke signal, a bespoke signal is tailored specifically to align with your product, your offering, and your sales process, rather than just an isolated piece of information which you're you know leaving it to the imagination of a seller or a consumer to interpret. Rather, a bespoke signal takes up that responsibility to build a narrative, build a premise that's good enough for a seller to say, hey, I'm going to go talk to this account because I know so much more about what's happening at this particular account. Well, the best sellers have been doing this forever. The power of AI or Gen AI is to make sure that we give the whatever best sellers have been doing it for so long and then make it available to all the sellers and thereby bring efficiency. In principle, a bespoke signal would save hours of research time of a seller because it's going to synthesize different piece of information or different signals and build a narrative with a logic and an explanation with a citation of sources saying that, hey, this is what it means, or this is why this company is surging right now, and why you should reach out to them or why you should say something in your sales cycle. Now, let's move on to the next aspect where we talk about what are all the kind of signals that are out there and what are the different use cases they can enable. So this is a long slide with a lot of information. So I'll, want you guys to be patient and with me. as I walk you through each aspect of it. So as you can see, it's like this whole slide is broken into four parts: third party signals, first party signals, a very broad categorization of signals there. Signals are like in hundreds and thousands of categories if you were to put it, but it's always good to structure them in a simpler form. That's where I try to put it in third party and first party signals. And then what can you do with these signals? Why should you care as a GTM leader? It's because it can help you build new pipeline. It can help you secure and grow your existing pipeline. Let me do a quick walk through of the third party and first party signals, and some important aspects of them. Uh, so yeah, intent signals. We are all aware about the topical intent data out there. So when I say intent signals, think Bambora or likes of them. And then comes firmographics, technographics, and contact data. Smart has been a strong player in this scenario. Job postings is one of the raw data that gets consumed. Earning calls, news, public reviews, blogs, all of this information is about a company either produced by themselves or written by a third party source, which is giving you an indication of their priorities or the direction in which they want to go, and thereby help you understand if that piece of information can be used to get to your objectives, which is building a new pipeline or securing and growing the pipeline. And moving on to first party signals, emails, call transcripts, the conversations your sales team has with their prospects or customers is a gold mine. There are objections, there are appreciation, there is feedback, there is a lot of information that can be used into improving your go to market phases. And we are we are very bullish about mining the historical data of opportunities, contacts, accounts, emails, and calls to build an understanding of what the buying group is, who are the people that are more likely to interact with you, who is an influencer, who is a decision maker, what are the users. And when you apply that onto net new accounts, you are saving hours of prospecting time, and that gives an edge to sellers to go out and do more of what they love, which is selling. And then if you combine the first party and third party data, there comes a scenario of champion tracking and buying group tracking, which is beautiful because this is your asset. If your champion is moving on to a new account, and if you do not know about their existence, uh and sometimes it's not even a champion, it could be somebody of a higher power who can make decisions or influence decisions, has moved from your super happy existing customer to a prospect who you're trying to build a relationship with and establish the credibility and trust. And this little piece of information or a signal is of immense value from the perspective that it can help you break into that account. And then for the agent or AI to give you right bespoke signals, it needs to understand your product, your offerings. So that's where this website, marketing collateral, sales enablement data, knowledge base, and product usage data comes in. So you can identify your champions, not just the ones that are involved in the sales cycle, but also the ones who are using your product, the advocates who are going to take you along the advocacy with them to the new account when they go to. So that's all of the information that can be used as form of signals. Now, quickly going over the use cases in which signals can help us do better go to market. The first one is building the new pipeline, which would be list building, champion tracking, bespoke signals, identifying the accounts that are surging, expanding your audience based on the new learnings from the opportunities you're winning. Because if you think about it, buying groups are like a cookie cutter approach. where marketing or GTM leaders try to define your ICP in a form that it is conceivable by your sellers to understand who they have to go after. But in reality, the buying group changes by employee size, industry, or region. There are so many factors that changes the definition of a buying group. New job titles get involved in your sales cycle based on the type of company and the size. And it's very important for us to develop that understanding, how much ever complex that is, and feed that to the AI. Then you expect the AI using those signals to build the buying group every time you go to a new account, and thereby you are skipping the inefficiencies of you know process or inefficiencies of a seller's ability to remember all the nuances when they are identifying the buying group. And similarly, all of these signals and insights you're taking out will help you build account action plans, relationship maps, and of course data integrity monitor is very important from the perspective that you can pick up this important aspects that are very unique to your company, your opportunities and your sales process. Like for Smart, we are a sales intelligence company. It's very important for us to understand how many sellers are in that company, how many of them are in SDRs, how many of them are sales team, what's their appetite, what's their existing CRM records, or what's their renewal cycle. All of this information is available in those emails, in those sales calls, but never put to use. It's very tough to set a process where your sales guy is trying to religiously pick up all that information and fill the sales force. No, that's never happening. That's why we're building capabilities to address that, where we pick this information and put it in Salesforce, so that again you can use that in action plans. You can remind the seller back to the time they need it in the sales cycle. Well, that's like an overview about what are all these signals, how could you put them to use and build a new pipeline, and then of course secure and grow your existing pipeline. Now, just moving on to the next step, whenever we deal with AI, data, signals, we all need to understand that there is a level of inaccuracies that are inherent in the system. I don't mean to, discourage the use of signals in any way, but I'm trying to set a cautious expectation. And we have done some research and understanding what are the constraints of each signal, so you make sure when you put them in conjunction and you try to use them to build a narrative. So let me go to the next slide here. All right, so I picked some common, famous, and very important signals. I don't mean to put them down in any way, but I just want all of us to be aware of what we are signing up, and that's the best way to ensure we make the best out of these signals. There's a huge hype around anonymous website visitor tracking and being able to identify them, but the reality is that 10 to 20% is all you can convert. That could be of great value for some companies with high ACV, but not necessarily it's of great value for everybody. And then when you think about the coverage, it works pretty well in US, but doesn't work in rest of the world. Again, it's another constraint. You can work around it and you can still make the best use of it. And then the next popular one is review sites. So I know you see all these ads about using G2 data or trust radius intent data and trying to identify the visitors of your competitive pages, or showing interest in your topic, or it could be the visitors who are actually landing onto your profile pages in these sites. The challenge with this is typically, in most scenarios, the buying group is looking at these review sites in advanced stages of the sales cycle. So that information can be useful, but that information is not a great idea for you to start your outreach after you see the signals of them using. Again, I wouldn't say you shouldn't do the outreach, but what I'm trying to tell you is they're going to be a signals that reflect a later stage in the sales cycle. Could be useful sometimes, or could be very challenging for enterprise deals where the cycle starts or goes on for months. Job changes, pretty effective, but only if they're refreshed quite often, as well as if you have a good understanding of buying group along with a past champion tracking. In absence of these, it could be a bit overwhelming from the consumer perspective that, hey, too many job change updates in an account I follow because my buying group has 30, 40 people or more than that in some scenarios. So it's overwhelming. That's where it becomes nice, where the seller could benefit if you can identify the ones that are specific to their buying group, the champions from the previous accounts, and then check that out. Topical intent, again, a great signal. The challenge would again be around broad indicators where you cannot necessarily select a topic that is directly reflecting on the demand for your product or your services. It's more in a broader topic which you could use it to imply that, oh, they might be interested in my service too, or my topic too. And then the final one is all these news articles and earning calls. They're great for strategic communication. They're great for the pitch, like build a relationship, build that empathy towards the buyer in those sales calls, so that they know that you've done your homework and you understand where their leadership is moving towards. And that also helps you to uh, you know make a compelling case. But the challenge would be that it does not imply any kind of immediate purchase intent. So yeah, that's about our learnings and our observations on while working with these signals, which could be useful for you guys when you go out there and start to use these signals and put it in context. All right, so while there are constraints, signals are still great. They're still going to bring you a lot of efficiency and value. And I want to move on to the next topic when it comes to signals and the way we consume the signals or distribute them. So I think all of us would agree that stories are compelling. Stories help us pursue. Stories make us, fill with hope, right? I think the great value of the bespoke signals and Gen AI is that now it's not just score, but you can build a whole narrative behind why a particular score is given to an opportunity or an account by a list of events, and trying to build some reasoning around it. As long as we can get a seller to trust what we have built, and then use the information we are giving in form of signals to get out and sell with confidence, I think that's the job done. Let's probably look at an example here. So I try to put out a story or a timeline of an opportunity, how we won an opportunity at Smart. Of course, I've taken out all the names and the account name and stuff like that. It's just an example for you to sink in how signals can help you in storytelling. So this is about an opportunity where we could close the deal of an account which was engaging with Smart but has been lukewarm about it. We could not get into a conversation with the leaders at the account, decision makers. We were in conversation with the RevOps manager, who was getting in calls, trying to gather information, but never really, uh, let us into the sales cycle or the buying cycle from their side. And then, interestingly, one fine day, we were able to, you know, crack a conversation, enter into the sales cycle with them, and this kind of explains why and how, what are the events that led to it. So we realized they have raised a round of funding and they've mentioned that, hey, this is for global expansion. So that was one signal that was in place. And later we also knew that to keep their initiative of global expansion intact, they had a new CMO. And it got interesting when one of our past champions, somebody who was working in our happy customer has moved on to this account as a RevOps leader. And then we started seeing some activity from the same RevOps manager who was lukewarm in interacting with us in the past, and now he started visiting our website. And we also realized that, hey, they added a new sales tool, which is typically loved by our customers because of the great integration we have with them. And finally, they entered the sales cycle. And this led to the closure and winning the opportunity. The if you look at it, there are different points in which you could build a signal or a story to compel the sales guy, hey, you should talk to them because they have new leadership. And we all know when there is a new leadership out there, there is a likelihood that they're going to reevaluate the tech stack or they're going to have new budgets to achieve new goals. And that's a trigger or an information that you know will be appreciated by a seller if you can put a narrative together. And the problem with the scoring in general is that a person might have visited your website 4 times for whatever reason, and that cannot be equal to 4 other events which add more meaning and value in building the narrative. So the scoring will never tell you if it's inaccurate or if it's just one event or if it's a beautiful journey that was built up over time just to get you that dollars and just to get you that contract and sign it up. So it's very important to think of signals and storytelling in combination when we think about consuming these signals, and we need to go beyond scoring and talking about the different factors that one need to consider when we think about signals and go beyond scoring. The depth of an insight is very important, and that's where storytelling kills it in terms of all the detailing, reasoning, and the information you need to convince the seller to go out there and put their energy and effort. And a reasoning will help build sellers' confidence, which will have a great impact on GTM because sellers are the beings who are driven by hope. Maybe a little bit impatient in general, but you give them a hope that, hey, I'm going to automate your process. The playbook is going to work or has worked for you in the past. And all that signals are going to do is trying to automate that in a way that it's easy for you to consume. The AI is going to do the research work and give you information that's actionable. And then you can put it to work to get an outcome where you only focus on opportunities where there is a reasoning of why you need to go behind them and skip out all the ones that have been eating a lot of time because of lack of visibility. I try to bake in a lot of information in this short conversation, but I hope that was of some value for you guys. And I'd love to stay connected. Thank you for staying till this point. If you survived for 23 minutes, I'm sure we'd love to connect and have these conversations going. You all have a great day. Thank you. Bye bye.